Hey everyone, and welcome back to Reaver 2. This is Leading Man, and today we're going to be hitting up the Light Shrine, or Light Forge. Now, we got a little bit of backtracking as we head out of the Termagant Forest. Well, I take it back, we've got a lot of backtracking, but I'm not actually going to show it all to you. Mostly because that's just ridiculously unnecessary. Now, normally, you actually have to trek all the way back to the lake at the very beginning when we hopped out of the Seraphan's stronghold. And the best way to do this, as I'm illustrating here, is to jump from platform to platform, sort of just ignoring all the guards. Now, once we get all the way to the caves, I'm just going to cut, because you don't need to see me swimming around. But there actually is a cutscene of some importance here, so we can't just completely cut straight to the lake. Another thing you may notice is that these guards actually do attempt to follow you, even though they can't make it, and they will get stuck in the swamp and so on and so forth. But we really don't need to deal with any of that. Now, if you've noticed, during this, say, minute and a half of footage, you'll see Raziel's health has actually gone down quite a bit. Now, even though we have the Reaver, because of the way it's changed, we will take damage. And there's our nice little cut, and here we are at the Elder God's Chamber, so to speak, but really we're just below the pillars.
Ah, my wayward child returns.
Having unearthed more than you'd like, I suspect. What am I to make of these ruins that litter the land, and these images here in this chamber?
Merely the deceits of a failed civilization. You are being misled, Raziel. This ancient race hoped to manipulate the future with these scrawled misdirections. You must tread carefully. There are dark forces at work in this world, bent on subverting your true destiny.
I have no doubt of that. The question is, am I in their presence right now?
Your arrogance will spell your demise, Raziel. Deny my will, and the arc of your destiny will reach a sudden conclusion.
Your threats are unmoving. Even now, I'm beyond your reach.
My reach is longer than you realize. This is a very dangerous game you're playing, Raziel.
Raziel at this point is pretty much given up being manipulated. And we will see more of this in episodes to come as his personality changes more and more. It's good though, because old revenge Raziel was getting a little bit old. Now, we do have the Darkness Reaver here, which means we can finally open this gate. And we can listen to the choir awkwardly sing a few randomized notes and head into the shrine. Alright everybody, welcome to the Light Forge. So, the Light Forge is a little bit different than the Darkness Forge. Not really thematically, but definitely just from an environment standpoint. This area is very, I almost want to say Middle Eastern. It's got almost gives me an Indiana Jones sort of feel from this place. Might have to do with the mummies. Over here we have a very familiar looking object. And of course we also have a cutscene because, you know, it's been 2 minutes since the last one.
These murals left no room for doubt. These winged creatures were indeed the architects of the pillars. And while the images were difficult to decipher, the pillars appeared to banish or diminish their enemies somehow.
So even though we've done this before, it's still giving us a tip here at the top, telling us exactly what to do to solve this quote-unquote puzzle. I may just see if I can deactivate those, because that's absolutely ridiculous. Whoa, I don't know what's going on with the graphics there. So something you may or may not have noticed in previous videos, when we are not quite at full health, the spectral portal will actually be a different color, kind of signifying that you just can't even go through it. So once we actually deal with these Sluaw here, and we can get a soul, the portal itself gets a lot brighter. There we go. It's a nice little visual cue that lets you know you're ready to get out of there. This place, like all the other forges, has thralls, and you may notice there when you're picking up a weapon you can be a little bit vulnerable. I'm not certain if it happens every time, so I wouldn't risk it, but it definitely happened there. I actually really like this axe thing, mostly because it has a cut-in-half finisher. It doesn't actually make you drop the weapon, which personally I find really annoying. Got another urn over here with a symbol we haven't seen yet. I guess we've seen it, I just didn't care. So pay attention to that symbol on the door. We have to make that exact same thing happen here. So if you've played enough action-adventure games in your life, you know that we're going to have to use these mirrors to bounce light onto those gems. Also, these gems on his hand and the camera panning directly onto this symbol, of course, means we're going to have to deal with that as well. Now over here, we have a wonderful depiction of the Darkness Reaver, and unfortunately, our Reaver is not permanently forged with the power of darkness, so currently we don't have anything, and we need to find an urn before we can actually access those areas. See if we can just really quickly get a soul here. Oh, he ate it. Alright, good enough. And we'll head out of here and see if we can find the transfer point. Another one of the greater Sluaw here. Ooh, look at that. I love that his block animation actually looks more like a cower. There's a great point of view of the devouring animation where he gets really stretched out and comes back to normal. Kind of cool. Also, I really like the look of this place in the Spectral Realm. The architecture gets pretty freaky. You may recognize that symbol as what was on the Sphinx's head, but unfortunately it's protected by that sentry eye, so we're not getting anywhere near it. At least for now. Kill these sorceresses just in case. In case of that, actually. Hide behind this pillar, get some health. And we'll beat the crap out of her. Or him. I suppose gender doesn't really matter too much when you're a zombie.